Feeling and emotion. Two words most people treat as one. They're not. Feeling and emotion. One lives deep inside of you. The other lives on the surface. And learning to know the difference, truly know it in your body, changes everything about how you move through the world and through the difficult moments life places in front of you. Let's start inside with feeling. Feeling is a vibration. It lives within the body, not on the surface of it. The first place you know it is the heart. Think of someone you love completely, your person, your animal, your child. Notice what happens in your chest before your mind says a single word about it. The expansion, that overwhelming feeling, that is the feeling of love. It doesn't perform, it doesn't need an audience, it simply moves through you from the inside out. That's the vibration of love. And it is one of the clearest signals your body knows how to send. The second place is the gut. That quiet knowing when something isn't right or when something is exactly right. It arrives before logic, before analyzing, before you have a single reason to justify it. Learning to trust that signal, really trust it, is one of the most important practices you'll ever develop because it's almost never wrong. We're simply not always taught to listen to it. In fact, we're taught to override our gut feeling and listen to what is being said outside of us. Now, the third place is the mind. And this one is the most subtle and the most understood, or I should say, misunderstood, because we think we understand what's going on, but we truly are misunderstanding the subtle differences here. There is a knowing that arrives in the mind that has nothing to do with logical thinking. It's closer to receiving than reasoning. A message that is already there before you begin to analyze it. Most people mistake it for a thought and proceed to turn it over and over until they have reasoned themselves completely away from it. The message was there. They simply talk themselves out of receiving it. Heart, gut, mind, 3 locations, 3 kinds of knowing, all of them feeling, all of them yours, if you learn to listen. Emotion is different. Emotion lives on the surface. It shows, like the tears that arrive in your eyes, the heat that rises in your face, the flush of anger or embarrassment that broadcasts outwards before you have chosen to say a single word. Emotion arrives fast. And it's not wrong. It's not bad. It has its place, a real and important place in the full experience of being human. But here's where it becomes complicated. When an emotion gets attached to a story, a painful story, a story of being wronged or dismissed or humiliated or unseen, And that story gets told again and again and again. The emotion doesn't release. It loops. It deepens. It settles into the body as a habit. And over time, without awareness, it can become an identity. The person who is always angry, always the victim, always the one things happen to. That's not who they are. That's the story that found a home in their nervous system and was never shown the door. And I say this with complete tenderness because most of us have a version of that story living somewhere deep inside of us. It's not a flaw. It's what happens when pain has nowhere to go. So what do we do with it? We become the observer, not the participant, not the reactor, the witness. One of my favorite examples. Imagine that you're holding a kaleidoscope, right? Looking down that tube, and you look through it one way and you see a picture, beautiful picture. But then you turn it just slightly, and an entirely different image arrives. Same instrument, same light, different vantage point. That is what becoming the observer does. When you can step back from the emotional state, not suppress it, not perform your way past it, but genuinely step back and witness it, something shifts. The picture changes. You're no longer inside the loop. You were watching it. And from that watching, something becomes possible that reaction never allows. Choice. This is not about rising above your humanity. It is not about being unaffected or untouchable. It's about raising your vantage point just enough to see the full picture rather than only the part that is pulling at you. One is not better than the other. Feeling and emotion each have their place. Each carries information. Each serves a purpose in the landscape of a human life. Only when we learn, really learn, from the inside, we do change. And that door, the one that leads from reaction to observation, from the surface to the depth, from the story to the truth beneath it, that door was always there. You just needed to know it existed. Take a little breath with me. And on the inhale, we're going to say, I am willing to feel what is true. Ready? I am willing to feel what is true. Now exhale, I release what is no longer mine to carry. And you keep on breathing in that inhale, I am willing to feel what is true. And you exhale, I release what is no longer mine to carry. And what you find after a little bit of doing this, maybe 3, 4, 5 times, depends on where you're at, is that something is changing within you. It's almost like lifting off a burden you didn't know you had. It's a settling of your body. It's a quieting of your body and your mind so that you can really listen to the heart, to the gut, and to the mind. So your question for today is, in your next difficult moment, pause before you respond. Ask yourself quietly. Is this a feeling moving through me? Or is this an emotion I've lived before? Just notice. That noticing is where everything begins to change. I'll see you next time. Bye.